What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, something was brought to my attention that has been brought to my attention for quite some time. After we had the highly anticipated, undefeated, undisputed welterweight mega showdown take place, finally came to fruition, and we saw the outcome. July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, where we had, at the time, undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Terrence Bud Crawford, who at the time was 39 wins, no loss, no draw, 30 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. He was taking on undefeated, unified, three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who was widely considered by many to be top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and Errol the Truth Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. had a record of 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. That has all changed. Now, Terrence Crawford was considered the pound-for-pound number 1 fighter in the world. At that time, Errol Spence was considered top 5, some maybe top 2, maybe some even had him at number 1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. They finally fought, and we got a resolution. Okay, we got an answer. Or did we? As Terrence Crawford battered Errol Spence. He won possibly the first round of the fight. Errol Spence, that is. Then Terrence Crawford dropped Errol Spence, won the second round. Errol Spence came out aggressive in the third round. Won the first half of the third round. Then Terrence Crawford took on from the second half of the third round on, and it wasn't even close. Okay, he dropped Errol Spence then in the 7th round twice, stopped him in the 9th round, battered him in 4, 5, and 6, and in 8th round. Dominating performance. Now, going into this fight, strategically, the question was always asked. Errol Spence is the fundamentally more disciplined fighter, bigger, stronger, natural southpaw, pressure fighter. Terrence Crawford was seen as the smaller guy who was just more versatile, right? Terrence Crawford started his career at 130 pounds, became a world champion 135, 140, and 147. Errol Spence actually started his career at 154 and moved down to 147 to dominate the 147-pound division, okay? So with that said, everybody wanted to know how the styles was going to clash. Terrence Crawford is the versatile fighter, switches from orthodox to southpaw, changes angles, has only went the distance at the time. He's only went the distance he's only went the distance since becoming a world champion 3 times in his career at the time. He's only went the distance 3 times at the time since becoming a world champion, beating Ricky Burns in the UK back in 2014, okay? Terrence Crawford battled Errol Spence. Now, obviously, the resumes had changed. Terrence Crawford is now 40 wins, no losses, no draws, 31 wins by way of knockout. He is, the age has stayed the same. Errol Spence's resume obviously changed, 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, so on and so forth. Terrence Crawford is now undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. First male to become undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. First male to hold all 4 major sanction belts at junior welterweight. First male to hold all 4 major sanction belts at welterweight. Right? And everybody talked about, again, the versatility. Terrence Crawford switching from orthodox to southpaw. Errol Spence being fundamentally sound. Right? And Terrence Crawford comes out in this fight, shockingly, and fights in the southpaw stance and never ever switches. And I told people leading up into this fight, Terrence Crawford is predominantly a southpaw now. Okay? He very rarely switches to orthodox, and when he does, in a fight with Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Igor Velasquez. They was getting the better of him when he was in the orthodox stance. He switched to southpaw and he dominated the fight. And so with that said, now they agreed in the contract before the first fight. They agreed that, the loser would have an immediate rematch opportunity. Okay. He would have the opportunity to request an immediate rematch. Okay. He would have 30 business days to request an immediate rematch. Okay. And here's why I'm making this video to begin with. Errol Spence petitioned for the immediate rematch. The winner had to oblige, contractually obligated to oblige, which is Terrence Crawford, and he has to do so. It looks like now, according to the reports, they have to have the rematch by the end of the year, no later than January. And now it's going to take place at junior middleweight. But since it was such a one-sided dominant performance, what can Errol Spence do to make adjustments? And one of the things many people question is who can he bring in to help prepare for what he saw in Terrence Crawford? Because clearly he wasn't prepared for Terrence Crawford and that style. And many people point to undefeated welterweight superstar title contender, the phenom, as I refer to him as, in Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is 31 wins, no losses, no draw, 28 big wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Jaron Ennis has a lot of the intangibles of Terrence Crawford. He has power in both hands. He's a great athlete. I think he's actually a better athlete, or just about the same as Terrence Crawford at worst. He's bigger than Terrence Crawford. He has extremely long arms like Terrence Crawford, and he can switch from southpaw to orthodox like Terrence Crawford. And he can use weird, awkward angles to get punches off. Very slick, very elusive. I think Terrence Crawford may just be physically stronger at this point because Terrence Crawford is a world-class wrestler. But nonetheless, Jaron Boots Ennis has a lot of power, a lot of skill. Perfect opponent, perfect guy to bring in as a sparring partner to prepare for Terrence Crawford. But now, Jaron Boots Ennis is the IBF, International Boxing Federation, mandatory challenger. He was for Errol Spence. Now Terrence Crawford has inherited Jaron Ennis as his mandatory. We even seen Jamel Charlo now come out and say that he's not interested really in fighting Terrence Crawford, who's been calling him out, and that he wants Terrence Crawford to go ahead and fight Jaron Boots Ennis. And so with that said, what would it take for Errol Spence? Now I watched an interview, shouts out to Greg Hackett, shouts out to YSM Sports. I watched the interview they did, and Greg Hackett was asked by YSM what do you think about Jaron Ennis sparring Terrence Crawford? And YSM and Greg said something that really appealed to me. Because Greg, who is very familiar, trains with Bozy Ennis out in Philly, trained with Boots, is very familiar, helps train Boots, so he's very familiar with the situation. And he says it would be great for Jaron Ennis to get the experience of being in the ring with Errol Spence himself. It would be great for Errol Spence to have Jaron Ennis in there to help prepare for Terrence Crawford's style. But like I told you guys, ironically, he said, Jaron Ennis is not a sparring partner, right? If he brings him in, like I said on my show, and you guys can watch this on my show, I said this, if you go back and check the receipts. If he brings in Jaron Ennis is coming in at an approval point. He's not coming in there, just to help you work. But maybe that's what Errol Spence needs. And so Greg said, he don't need that, meaning Spence, every day for 2 months. Maybe, twice or a few sparring sessions, right? But not every day. And so I thought about it, right? And they both stated this. YSM, shouts out to YSM and shouts out to Greg Hackett. They both stated this, right? How much does Errol Spence want to win? And when they said that, that really resonated with me. And I thought about it. And I'm like, right. How much does he want to win? Now, obviously, like Greg and YSM said, it's hard to fathom it because Boots is looking to fight either one of them, right? Mainly at this point, Terrence Crawford. But he's looking to fight one of them. That's his marquee fight. He's eyeing that. But right now, Boots wants to become a champion at 147. Their rematch is going to take place at 154. So unless he moves up to 154, he's not going to fight either one of them anyway at 147. So they're essentially not even in his division currently right now. And so I thought about it. How much does Errol Spence want to win? Now, it was just reported that Errol Spence made guaranteed purse of $25 million. $25 million for this fight with Terrence Crawford. And he's going to get at least another, at the very least, another $10 million in the rematch. And that's low. That's extremely low. But at the very least, he's going to get $10 million. And so I thought about it. How much does he want to win? Does he want to win $500,000 worth of assuring a victory? Jaron Ennis is an expensive sparring partner. Jaron Ennis has not seen upwards of his purses being $1 million. He's not seen that type of money yet. Not in his career. Big money probably, but not that type of money, right? And I thought about it. If Errol Spence spends, now let's think about this now. Errol Spence spends, you see his chain, the man down chain, and not to mention Errol Spence has a fighter in lightweight star title contender, Frank the Ghost Martin, who's going to fight Shakur Stevenson in a marquee fight. And as a promoter, Man Down Promotions, he's going to get paid for that. So he's going to see at least $1 million from the Shakur Stevenson Frank Martin fight as a promoter, right? So I thought about it. Take that $1 million and pay Jaron Ennis to help you prepare for Terrence Crawford rematch. I would take $1.5 million. It's worth the investment. You know, they say LeBron James invests $1 million every year into his body to prepare and to keep him active in 20 years in the NBA. It's worth the investment. Sparring partners have fought in the pros. So it don't have to be a secret because like Greg said and like YSM said, Floyd Mayweather sparred Zab Judah. Floyd Mayweather sparred Chop Chop Corley. Floyd Mayweather sparred, plenty of fighters that he ended up fighting. We know this all the time. Right now, we're talking about Shakur, Tank, and Devin fighting. They all sparred each other. Tank sparred Shakur. He sparred Devin Haney. And he sparred Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez sparred Ryan Garcia. He sparred Shakur Stevenson. He sparred Devin Haney. And he sparred Tank Davis. And they all talking about fighting each other. To secure yourself a victory, if I'm Errol Spence, take the 1.5. I mean, the man down chain itself. That man down chain he got with all them diamonds, that fat Cuban link, man down. It cost him at least $200,000. Maybe $100,000. At the very least, it cost him $50,000. I would take 1.5, 3 sparring sessions to get Jaron Boots Ennis in there. $500,000 a sparring session. $500,000 a sparring session. Why not? It's worth the investment. But because you beat Terrence Crawford, you're gonna quadruple that 1.5 you invested in the trilogy. You know how much the trilogy will be worth if Errol Spence secure a victory against Terrence Crawford in this rematch? How much money Errol Spence will get for the trilogy? How many people will be invested in the trilogy if Errol Spence beats Terrence Crawford in a rematch? That 1.5 is going to turn into 50 million. He going to make $50 million in a trilogy match, at least if he beat Terrence Crawford in his rematch. But if he don't beat Terrence Crawford in his rematch, he may not ever see double-digit millions again. Maybe one time because the interest and the intrigue and the curiosity to see how he bounces back from two, especially if he gets stopped and beaten the same way he lost the first time, it's going to be hard to invest in him moving forward. But if he beats Terrence Crawford, he'll get $50 million, at least, in the trilogy. That don't even include the purse he's going to get for the rematch. So you factor in the rematch purse and the money he's going to get for the trilogy to spend 1.5. I'm bringing Jaron Boots Ennis in there. 500,000. How much do you want to win the rematch? There is nobody that Errol Spence can bring in, that Derrick James can bring in to mimic Terrence Crawford like Jaron Boots Ennis can. Arm length, versatility, power, athletic ability, and he's taller. And he's taller. Physical strength, and he's taller. And he has faster feet. I think Jaron Ennis has faster hands and faster feet than Terrence Crawford. So you bringing in a bigger, faster, stronger version of Terrence Crawford that can mimic him to the T. And even if he don't want to work on things in the very first sparring session, because the very first sparring session is going to be a lot of emotions. So maybe he don't want to work on things. But guess what? Once you paying him $500,000, $1.5 million for sparring, you think Boots ain't going to take that? He ain't getting $1.5 million to fight a real fight against Villa. His last fight against Villa, I'm sure he ain't get 1.5. So you give him 1.5 for a sparring session? For 3 sparring sessions? And it helps prepare him for a future opponent himself? And it gives him the experience? And if you Errol Spence, you can control the environment like Greg said. The only people in the gym is Derrick James, Errol Spence, Bozy, and Jaron Ennis. Ain't got to be no media there. Ain't got to be no friends and family there. Nobody that can, leak the word of what happened or leak any type of footage. And even if it was, who cares at this stage? We got footage of Devin and Shakur sparring. We got footage of Teofimo and Tank sparring. We got footage of Ryan Garcia and Teofimo sparring. We got footage of Devin and Teofimo sparring. We got footage of Ryan Garcia and Rolly sparring. Who cares? Guess what? It does for Errol Spence. That is the perfect sparring partner you can bring in to prepare for Terrence Bud Crawford. And maybe 1.5 get you more than 3 sparring sessions. Maybe it gets you 6. 250,000 a sparring session. 6 sparring sessions. Like Greg said, it ain't got to be every day. But 6 weeks, once a week. 6 weeks, once a week on Saturday. And I would do it on a Saturday night, the time the fight would actually be, to maximize on the experience. Make the sparring session at night, the time the fight will actually be, on a Saturday night, at the end of the week, every Saturday for 6 weeks. 6 sparring sessions, 250,000 a sparring session, $1.5 million. A great investment if you Errol Spence. At the end of the day, it boils down to this. How much do you want to win? It's worth the sacrifice. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. Because there's so much that Errol Spence can take from those sparring sessions. So many adjustments he can make based off those sparring sessions. That's fighting. Now by the time you fight Terrence Crawford, you would have fought Terrence Crawford 7 times. Because the actual fight you had July 29th, 6 sparring sessions with Jaron Boots Ennis is 7 times. By the time you get in there with Terrence Crawford, that will be the 8th time. And you would have been very familiar with that style, that skill set, and that athletic ability. Can't Can't go wrong. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.